Hi, everyone, and welcome to Planoly Presents Approachable Design Color Conversation. We're so excited that y'all could join us today. My name is Sarah. I am the Brand Partnerships Coordinator here at Planoly, and today we're joined with Zipeng Zhu from Dazzle Studio. Awesome. As you are all entering, go to that chat box, make sure that you have it to all panelists and attendees, and then let us know where you're from. We're really excited to have people join us from everywhere today. Germany, Seattle, Ohio. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. If this is your first time with Planoly, we're really excited that you have found us and that we can be help of y'all to get your branding in order. So Planoly is a platform to help you simplify your social marketing. Also today, by joining this workshop, you are entered into the giveaway to win a free year of Planoly, Stories Edit, and an Adobe Spark account. So that's really exciting. And I hope that will help you all get your time ready to go for branding and everything for your company. Also, today we will be giving everyone a free month of Planoly. So you will have a discount code that will be shared with you all tomorrow as well with the recording. Also, we are really excited for you all to get to network with each other. We know we have a lot of different people that would be great to connect with. But if we could today, make sure that instead of going into our chat box and sharing our handles, we all join the Planoly Facebook group. And that way we can all connect there and get to know each other, but also focus on the workshop today. Awesome. Well, thank you all for introducing yourself. We will get started in a minute. So there are two different boxes. There is a chat box and a QA box. So make sure if you have any questions, go to that QA box and we will have some time at the end of the workshop to answer all of your questions. We will get it started though. So Zipeng, if you're ready, you can start.
Yes, I am. All right. So let me just clear out all the windows that are not supposed to be, in front of anyone, and we will be good to go. I cannot believe I just said Coolio. I'm very embarrassed. I am so sorry. All right. Can everybody see my screen? Maybe a verbal confirmation.
Yep, you're good to go.
Fantastic. All right. So, hello, everyone. I am so glad to be here, spending a somewhat sunny Wednesday afternoon with y'all. Maybe it's evening. I don't know where you are. So, Wednesday with you for the next hour. And one thing that I don't know if you noticed, I am wearing a lot of color with me because I am a color lover. I hope you are too, even though sometimes I know color is intimidating and I know sometimes color is complicated, but don't worry. That's why we're here. That's why I am here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to tell you a little bit more about how color works in the branding system. And also, hopefully, by the end of the workshop, we can create our own color palette together. So first of all, I just wanted to preface this. This particular slide might cause epileptic seizure if you have that potential, um, what's it called? Um, if that might happen to you, please just close your eyes because what happens is quite intense. So this is kind of how I functions as a human being. Very loud, very extra, and a lot of color coming at you. But meanwhile, that being said, I also a man that's full of love. So some flaming hot kisses. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm so happy to be here to give in this workshop. And for everyone who is attending, you are the first person on this planet to see and attend this workshop because this is not available anywhere else before, and so you're the first person to get to experience this. So I hope you're going to enjoy this because I put a lot of work into this workshop. And then you might have questions what is happening? What is going on? What's this person? Why is he talking like this?
This is me.
This is me taking a um, and which is something I do every day. My name is Zipeng, and I'm a designer, art director, illustrator, animator. Live in New York City, and like I said, I want to make every day a Razzle Dazzle musical. Meanwhile, if you are interested, feel free to stalk me. You won't be the first, you won't be the last, and stalking it's 100% welcome as long as you don't show up in front of my apartment. That's all good. And that being said, let's get started. So the first part of this workshop is I want to sort of preface a little bit for everyone what color plays the role in brands. So to me, I'm not the person that I'm gonna tell you color has meanings and color has all these power behind them. I'm not that person because to me color is color. However, I think color it's powerful in the sense that it could be a great tool for you to get recognized. So for example, a lot of brands, a lot of the best in class in our industry just owns one color. For example, Coke. The Coke Red is so important to the brand. When I was working with them a few years back, that red was the one with the first thing in the brand guideline that they sent over, how much it's important for them to make sure this color is consistent and also it's coherent throughout the project I was working on. Or color could be a great device. If you ever seen National Geographic on the magazine stand, you see them as a frame, but this yellow frame becomes the most iconic device for the magazine and the channel. Excuse me. If you think about it, it's kind of mind-blowing that a simple rectangular yellow frame became this device that basically adapts across the platform that express the brand. That's really powerful. Or Starbucks. I mean, personally, I felt that I don't know how you feel about the Starbucks branding a few years back when they get rid of the Starbucks rim around the emblem. But over the year, like at first I was so resistant because I felt it was such a missed opportunity for them. Like I don't really get to see too much black and green identity, and then that was just such an interesting color combo for them to own. But over the years now, I just felt like that was 100% the right move, not only because they get to let their name to be more and then let the mark to take over, and meanwhile it also lets this color becomes a more dominant part of the brand. And I mean, I don't think I need to explain more about the Twitter blue. And they're one of the partner that I've worked many times with. And it is interesting how within the landscape of social media, there are so many blues out there, and somehow the Twitter blue is the most iconic. If you want to argue the Facebook blue with me, we can go at it all day long, but you're not going to change my mind. I would not think the Facebook blue is better because I just think it's a very ugly color that they pick. However, that being said, back to Twitter, I think it's interesting when you are thinking about color for your brand, it's that sometimes not only it's about picking a color that you like, but it's also looking at all the competitors or the colleagues that you have in the lineup to really find a way to stand out. For example, Twitter, they know they're probably gonna stick to the blue, but within all these social media platforms, they really pick the blue that it's not only bright, it's vibrant, but it's also just very lively, that really captures the spirit of the social media. And Lyft is another great company that I felt was interesting. So they, one, I'm very glad that they ditched the mustache because that was very strange. I do not understand why they have a mustache as their logo for a hot second. But when you're thinking about color palette, especially for a brand, I think it's worth to think about how it might be translated on screen and on print. So this is basically a very classic magenta with probably a small slight color shift. And that allows this company's logo look great on digital and on printed paper. And not everybody needs to make print goods, and not everybody needs that for their brand, but it's always nice to have that in consideration. So for example, my company always uses the CMYK yellow because it's just a color that it's going to print out nicely that I know. And then meanwhile, it's going to translate great on screen. Or sometimes we can also argue about white or black, whether they're colors or not. I mean, if they can exist in your swatches, they're colors, okay? Like, yes, technically black is, I don't know, all the colors were no color, whatever. I'm not that person. It's in your color swatches, it's in your, color palette, then, it's a color. And sometimes having a black and white brand, it's just as powerful as having a ownable color because it gives you contrast, it gives you timelessness, and then it also is just very, very striking. So also could be tasteful. So it really depends on how you use the color and the proportion and the ratio. All those things can dictate so much how a brand is being perceived. Meanwhile, what we just said are all the one colors, and now it's how to see multiple colors and then know a brand. For example, to me, McDonald's is a great example that this ketchup mustard vibe is something that I love, something that I grew up with, and then something that always just brings me joy and happiness. And meanwhile, you can also have a unique color palette. So for example, the yellow and the red, it's more of a complementary color that they are, in a similar hue. And meanwhile, you can have contrast colors, like for example, FedEx, the purple and the orange, or IKEA, the blue and the yellow. So having a contrast color palette, it's just a great way for you to differentiate the elements of the brand, and then meanwhile give you this dynamic and this contrast that a complementary color sometimes might not be able to provide. But if, for example, if you look back at McDonald's, it's so much about the warmth that you're getting, and then it's a very like feeling based, I would say, color system that it gives you this comfort and also a lot of calories. So with that, a similar color hue can really help you to achieve that. And meanwhile, for FedEx and IKEA, they give you this, very memorable color palette that they could use in many different ways. And for me, the IKEA bag, the blue and the yellowish type on the ribbon is just such an iconic thing for a brand to own. And meanwhile, you saw the preview earlier, or sometimes you can use the hue in the same family, but then really establish a relationship. in MasterCard situation, it's the Venn diagram. And how do you create something that is memorable, but yet simple, also, I would say, have possibility to adapt into many of the things? Because to me, this is as simple possibly a logo could be, like the National Geographic, but meanwhile, the simplicity allows it to have so much more ways to be expressed. And when that is the case, having a color system really help you when your logo itself is so simple that you can really use a color palette to facilitate the brand recognition. And lastly, I think it's probably one of the best example as a branding system, how having a color palette, it's just very, very helpful. And what I think is wonderful from the Google rebrand was that these 4 color now becomes the instant recognizable combination for Google. Because when I was doing prepping this workshop, I was looking at so many company trying to have these 4 color color palettes, and a great comparator to look at is Microsoft. But I personally just think this color combination is very tasteful, it's very lovely, it's very recognizable, very iconic, and also very, very adaptable. If you have a chance, I strongly recommend you to take a look at the rebrand case studies, because they really talk about the color and then also talk about how it's being distributed. And that's another thing to think when you're working with color, is to really, really bring a sense of understanding of the brand essence into a color palette, and then let them express the brand without even saying a word. So yeah, strongly recommend looking at take a look at the case study. It's really, really, really cool. All right, so here comes the more important part, and then this is I would say the more academic side of this workshop. For example, for the next, I would say 40 minutes or so, we're gonna work on how to create a color palette for yourself. And there's many ways, and primary color is a great way to set the basic tone for your brand. And it helps consumers to quickly identify a brand, and these are the core colors for your company. So for example, besides the ones that we just all looked at, like I feel like, Apple with their Apple gray, it's a great way to be having instantly recognizable. And or the sometimes the primary color could also be a gradient, which is what Instagram does. Yeah, like color is a how do I say this, now has become more and more complicated over the years. However, the concept of primary colors are just a great way for you to really, really create something that's recognizable. And sometimes the primary color are more than one, and that's why it's primary colors here. And I personally suggest no more than 3, like otherwise, besides Google, but 1, 2, 3 should be a good starting point for you to set the brand. And it can be used to make a color theme, including dark and light primary color variants. What that means is that, let's say, for example, the lift pink, and then the pink could be brighter to give you more differentiation, or it could go a little darker to give you more subtlety. And having these variants sometimes really help you to establish a world of this color. Let's say, for example, Hulu has their mint green, right? And for Hulu, I just saw an ad that it's almost all green. with a hint of black and white, but how do they differentiate foreground, background, or details, nuance, and highlights and shadows? All of those things are made from using the color variance. Sometimes it can go darker, give you a sense of depth. Sometimes it can be lighter, give you the highlights or other details that you want to add a little accents to. So it's really important for you to think about how much nuance does this color needs to be. But for this case, we can start with something simple that we can just stick with one color. And then if you want to go brighter or lighter, I'm going to show you how to do it in Illustrator. And next up, it's secondary colors. And secondary colors highlights and complements the primary color or colors. They usually have a range to 1 to 6 colors, and you can decide how these secondary colors to work and how many numbers of them. But if we can actually limit it into, I would say, a 1 to 6 ratio, amounts, it sort of makes your life a lot easier. One of the I would say the rule of thumb for me is that I don't want it to go beyond 6 colors, because that sort of becomes too rich of a combination. Because if you think about it, if you have 3 primary color and then 6 secondary color, that is potentially 18 color combo off the bat. And do you really need 18 different options? Maybe, probably, but I would say as a starting point, start with something simple. Like I think, 3 primary color, 3 secondary color, or 4 or 2 primary color, 4 secondary color are a good combination, because then you have probably like 9 combo or 8 combos that you can use for different ways that you want to achieve the brand recognition that you want to do. And then it provides a way to accent and distinguish your brand, in the sense that, like, for example, let me see, what would be a great example for this? If you think of sorry, my brain just freezes for a little bit. Like, for example, if you're on a, let's say an app, and usually the, especially like for Google, all their, what's it called? Create new button. It's on an accent color that's in a circle, and then that sits on like a lower right-hand corner or upper left-hand corner. And that was their way to really use something to add on to the color palette they've already established. And then sometimes these accent colors can help you to really decorate a page or a brand in a very unexpected way. And that could be very distinguishable. And it's totally optional, but we're gonna work on it today, because I felt like sometimes, yes, just a primary color is great, but now I think we're entering into the world of super saturated branding world, that I think maybe a color is not as easy for you to own anymore, but you can, there's still gazillion different color combinations that you can really establish for yourself. Or if we take out all the what we just talked about and then consider everything as an equal. So basically there's no primary color or no secondary color. You just consider these bunch of colors as your palette, kind of like what you hold when you're painting. Then that is also a great way to establish a brand, because many ways, like Google, for example, I think those 4 color, you can, yes, consider them as the primary color, but meanwhile, to me, I think in many ways, they're just very overall brand color palette for them to really use. And what we're gonna do is to really look at how to think about color and how to start and how it could work for us. And I have pulled some examples. So these are some classic color combinations that are out there. And if you're interested, all these are in the resource in the deck at the end. So don't worry if you don't really get what is going on. And meanwhile, like I think it's a great way to sort of see how instant a different color combination can give you a different feelings. For example, this one, I don't know if you can see in the middle, the third row from the bottom, it's a very primary color set. It's, you know, blue and red and yellow with black and white, which to me, it's kind of like, you know, it reminds me of Lego or like something that's very like simple. But then meanwhile, the ones in the middle from the purple to the pink to the nude, that to me, it's somehow kind of feminine or somehow kind of like spiritual. So, you know, a color combination can really change a perspective of how you perceive a company. And that is really important. And that's something that you want to think about. For example, when I'm working on this pattern for myself, I really thought about what are the color that I am allowing myself to use. And I ended up with 5 colors plus black and white, because that's not only a really dynamic, you're not seeing it, a dynamic and contrasty color combination, but meanwhile, it's just complicated enough for me to create something that is truly dynamic and unexpected. All right, what I just did was a lot of talking. So I think it's important for us to get to work, and let me show you how I usually approach a color palette. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to show you, like, these are some of the worksheet that I've made for everybody that you are feel free to join if you want. I'm going to show you a few different ways how I start a color palette. And meanwhile, after that, I'm just going to take it up to a Q&A to create some color palette for yourself. So I am going to exit and then change it into my Illustrator. And I don't know if you can see my screen. I hope you can. So the way that I see color is very simple. I always start with a very simple page, whether it's setting up like this or something like this. So I think we can start with this one. This is very simple. It's how do we approach a primary and secondary color system. And what this does is to really show you how it could work side by side. So for example, let me think, let's say maybe for the first color, I'm just going to take out the black lines. Maybe I want a bluish color, maybe something like this. And then maybe what we can do is to add a little bit detail, because like some of these minor hues can really add some personalities into the color story. And meanwhile, it is just very fun. So maybe like I'm feeling kind of purple today for, I don't know why. And then let me think of what are the possible ways to really complements this color. So my first instinct is that, oh, maybe let's go with something that's somewhat complementary. So maybe it's a warmish pink, and maybe it's less intense. Maybe it's slightly like pinkish. And then meanwhile, how about a color that is also warm, but adds a little bit more contrast to it? Like maybe it's a yolk, which is my personal favorite color. I probably use it for like gazillion things. And then meanwhile, like we just established 2 secondary color that are on the warmer side. So maybe to contrast that, what we could do is let's say maybe a blue, but then maybe not as intense. Like maybe it's something like this, but with less saturation. Maybe something like this. And then meanwhile, I kind of feel like it could need one more color. Like right now in my head, I'm sort of torn between a teal or a green. Maybe, let's see. I'm not sure if the green is exactly working, so I'm gonna try teal, which could look very nice. Yeah, and then, that seems kind of interesting. What I like about this color combination is that, one, we have a color that is the dominant color. What I like about having something darker in this instance is that this could potentially just to be used on top of white paper, and that could work. But if you want to, incorporate any of the color palettes, and that is working as well. So what we could do, and let me show you some of the ways to activate the worksheet. So what we just picked are some of the color palettes. And I'm gonna, so if you're in Illustrator and in swatches, when you select these colors, and if you just hit this folder, like this new color group, it's gonna pull all your colors for you into a, into a strip. And what I'm gonna do is to turn on the other worksheet that we just had to really test it out. So for example, what this could do, like we can try it in a few ways, is that maybe in the background, this situation, they're all purple. And then in the front, to test out how they look in front of you, which looks pretty nice. And we can make another one too if it's needed to show the blue. Like that seems like a pretty workable system, that they not only complements each other from within, but they also have enough contrast between the foreground and the background. So that's kind of like one way of approaching color palette. It's to, start with something that you are so set on. Like for example, let's do another one. So how about let's start with something that it's slightly less usual. How about maybe a brown? We don't see brown a whole lot. Maybe a little bit, yeah, maybe something like this. All right, so brown is an interesting color, or gray. Like these are the colors that are, when you're done wrong, it could be so wrong, but when you're done right, it's so tasteful. All right, so I just set myself a challenge that I'm personally a little scared of. So let's see how we're doing. So I think for brown, it can go a few ways. One, I sort of can, like, sometimes I feel like if you can get references from your day-to-day life, it's a great way to think about a brand. So for example, in this case, I kind of am thinking, this is kind of chocolatey, and, maybe a cream could be a great way to approach the colors. So maybe it's something like this. That looks pretty nice. So it's gonna be a cream. Oh, that's too much. Yeah. Something like that. And maybe, maybe a pink, like a light pink. And guys, I am just doing this literally like out loud, straight out of my head. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think color is one of these things that you can think 10,000 years on it and then not land anything, or sometimes you just have a gut instinct that how it should go and how it should look. So, okay, so I felt like so far we have done two quite nice, like even like I would say soft um, color situation next to it, you know, like how that's gonna look or how that's gonna look. All right, so I think the next color, I might want something that's slightly punchier, like something maybe it's like something more vibrant. So maybe it's a pinkish red, and then maybe it's something like this. And you know, the second after I add this color, it seemed to me maybe this pink need to be a little bit more saturated, because then you can have a great way to differentiate the cream and the pink. In the meanwhile, I might bring this down a little bit too. All right, that seems coming together a little bit. And then lastly, this last color, I am curious what that should be. Black is a little much. How's the blue? A little much as well. Huh. Purple seems interesting. Maybe it's something that it's, ooh, I like this. So, and like I said, sometimes you just need to like play around with these hues a little bit just to get something that is truly ideal for you. And it's strange. Purple is one of my least favorite color, and somehow I used it twice today. The magic of this workshop. All right, so I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna pull this once again into our color group and just test it out. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this. This color way, and then I'm gonna change this to the brown that we just had and how it might work. And, you know, out of this, I think so far these are working, but I am not super sure on this brown and purple situation. Maybe the purple is not the foreground color. Maybe it's the background color. Like that to me looks better. And same here with the red. Maybe the red is also on the background, but then with the brown in the front. Like that to me seems like a more interesting dynamic color approach than, you know, I'll say this for instance, or before. So yeah, like I think that is my overall like approach to color. And I think right now it's a great time. Let's turn to the Q&A to maybe let me show you how to use some, you know, colors from the audiences to take it from there. And one thing I will say, if you have a primary color in mind, you can just copy and paste the hex code and then drop it in. And if you want, maybe also add like a little sort of write up like what you're thinking, what are the vibes, and then we can take it from there.
Awesome. Well, people have been adding theirs into the Q&A box. We have over 83 questions, 83 color combinations. So that is a lot. Thank you so much for entering all of those. So I'll just kind of give a few. We won't have time for everyone, but thank you for doing that. So let me just find one real quick. Let's see. So here's someone, they have a small beauty salon and a blog YouTube channel. So they love light pink, but it's a color that a lot of people see as a children's color. So how can they use it both on the beauty salon and the blog without it being seen as like a child's company?
Oh my God, that is such a great question. So, okay, let's just start with the light pink. How about that? And I think light pink is such a great color in the sense that it is not only has so much personality, but then meanwhile, it's actually very, very adaptable for with a lot of different colors. And to me, a great way to differentiate that is to add in colors that are just a little bit more adult. For example, I think to me, this with a navy, it's gonna be really, really dope looking. Like this is kind of a you can't go wrong color combinations. And then we're gonna look at it in a second. And then meanwhile, like I would say a pink and a red, you can't really go wrong with that either. And then and maybe here you can be like slightly orangey red, so you can add a little bit more of brand equity into the color situation, like maybe something like this. And then meanwhile, after that, you want to really think about, okay, what can I bring in more adult approach into this? One is to, maybe do something that is kind of unexpected or something really sophisticated. Like in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe it's a, like a darker teal green situation. I'm not sure if this is working yet. Like maybe something like this, which is kind of interesting. Like something like this is kind of going in the vibe that I'm vibing right now. And, lastly, I would say it depends on you. I might honestly either do something that is, darker or like a simple black. You can't really go wrong with that either. But, okay, let's look at this color together right now, right? I think I'm really vibing the top two. Like I think the blue and the orangey red is great. Not sure about this green after I add in black, and that's okay. And that's the time that you can really sort of, look at other things. Like maybe it's a lighter purple, and then that kind of works better. And like maybe we can tweak this little hue a little bit more as well. And just to test this real quick, I'm gonna bring this in. And for you, I think it would be really, really cool to have light pink as the default background color for everything, because you can use that as you can grab those light pink paper as well from like, craft stores. You can just print black things on top of it, which would be really, really dope. And here we go. I'm gonna leave black out of this since we all know black is gonna work perfectly. So we're gonna do it like this, do it like that, and do it like this, which I don't really see children anymore. Do you? I hope not. Yeah, so I hope that helps. How about let's do another one? This is so much fun, you guys.
Yeah, I love
Y'all
it.
people.
And I think it's great to see too, because it's like you always think of one color being something, but being able to see it compared with so many other colors, you realize that it can mean a whole different thing. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and then my overall like personal, I don't want to use the word philosophy because that sounds to me very serious, but I don't believe there is an ugly color in the world. No color is ugly, even though there's things I don't like. I don't think they're ugly, but there's ugly color combinations. Like, there are gazillion ugly combinations out there. And for example, do not use like, let's say a mustard next to, I don't know, a brown. I don't know. I don't like, that's just not my vibe, but I'm sure somebody who's talented can make it work as well. So yeah, let's do another one.
Awesome. Yeah. So we have a lot of people that want kind of more of a natural vibe. So there's one, they need a little help with their color for their brand. They are a dive center in Mallorca. So they have beautiful crystal clear waters, white sandy coves, and a vibrant green seagrass. So kind of how can they have their like vibe of their place be a part of their brand colors?
Yeah, I think having bring inspiration from the nature is a great approach. So how about let's start with, let's say, the sand, right? And which could be a really great way to introduce the color throughout, and maybe it's, oh, this is a little too much. Like maybe, boop, boop. Yeah, maybe something like this. And we have, what, the sky? Is that what you said?
Yes, crystal clear waters, and then the seagrass.
Okay, so that gives us a overall like bluish family, right? And then I would say, how about we can work? So when you in this tone, you can think from light to dark, from blue to green. So which we're gonna do a combination. Like I feel like it's always nice to have something in your family that it's on the slightly darker side, so it can give you something for you to ground. And then I'm gonna start something here. Maybe it's slightly on the greener side. That is, you know, on the other side of the spectrum. And what you could do here is to fill it in, maybe, let's say, somewhere between a teal, or maybe this is too much. Maybe I want something, maybe it's something that it's contrasting a little bit. Maybe it's a orange, like this. I mean, again, like I'm doing this on the spot, like literally in front of everyone. This definitely probably needs some more tweaking. However, I think overall, like once you lay everything out on a page, you will know what's working, what's not. And then especially if you apply that to the this format to test out how it looks on top of each other, you can really get a sense of it. So I think, yeah, like this seems like it could be a viable thing. So maybe what your conversation is that this could be the sun, and then this could be the seagrass, and this could be the water, and then you can have a very organic, natural, inspired color palette that, you know, Mother Nature do no wrong. Like she is always right, and it's somebody that you should look to if you're feeling, you know, lack of inspiration.
Absolutely. I love that. I know that whenever I'm trying to do things, I try to think about like what goes naturally together out in the world, in nature. And then those are kind of colors that you can put together, because if it's been created out there, it's probably going to work together as well on paper.
Yeah.
Cool. So we can go into another one. So we have another international company, but they are a limo service in Venice, Italy. So they have normally just black and white graphics. So how do they go about creating something that still kind of has that high class feel of black and white limo service, but still have like a more exciting color palette than just black and white?
Oh, honey, if you have a black and white company, your life is so easy. And let me give you the ultimate cheat sheet. And I think after this, let's take some real questions if they have. And then for black and white, I don't even need to do the primary color thing. What we can do, so simple. What just happened here? I'm gonna do. So take this out, boom, boom, boom. Here will be black. When you have a, you know, black and white company, you can honestly dump whatever color you want into this and then still make it work, you know. And then that to me is like one of the beauty of having a black and white system, is that then, you know, whatever the accent color could be the differentiator, or that could be the binder, you know. And you could like, so one of the things that, if you're interested, I strongly recommend everybody to look at the work by Paula Scherer, which is my old boss. So there are two projects that she has done over the years that blows my mind about color. Is she has done one called Public Theater. Every season, it's a new color palette with a new color combination. And So is another project that she does that I worked on, which is the Madison Square Park. So every season it's 5 color, and every season is different. And that means there are 4 color combinations every year. And then that has been going on for the past 15 years. So that means there's 60 color palettes that's been established within this tiny little park above 23rd Street. So I think having a system like this really gives you, I would say, the longevity of to really, play with different color combinations. If you want to be something that's striking, and then you can go for, something like this, or, this is kind of timeless, kind of classy, and then kind of tasty, sophisticated. But if you want to be fun, if you want to be playful, you can turn on something that, these are literally something we just pick, right? So you can see how well this worked. And then meanwhile, I'm glad that I click on this blue because it raised a new problem. Now I see the blue maybe a little too dark. Maybe I need to bump up the saturation a little bit to increase the differentiation between the black and white and the background. So yeah, and then that's the thing, like color, it's a conversation that it's going on. Whatever that's working or not working, I strongly recommend you to test them out to see how it works.
Awesome. So kind of along that same lines, we had someone who had a question about seasons. So like how do you go about creating a color palette that will change monthly depending on the season, but still have like an overall flow that still feels like it's cohesive and goes together?
There are a few ideas for you, and I would say the easiest way is I'm gonna show you, I would say maybe if I cheat, is what you could do. Let's say we have 4 seasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have whatchamacallit, we have 2 in between, right? Am I crazy? Yes, 2, I think. Yes. Sorry, ignore me. I'm kind of crazy sometimes. So like we're in the winter, so let's stay with something kind of cool. And then maybe for the spring, it's something that it's maybe something greenish, possibly. And summer could be something that may be on the yellowy side. And then maybe fall, it's something on the redder side, maybe a little darker. And then what you could do, honestly, this is, if I were you, you want to figure out how it works. You can just blend them into a palette, literally. Or if you like, for example, I am not sure how I like about these things in the middle. And what I could do is to expand that, blend, expand, and then to tweak these colors. For example, I think what it's lacking is a little bit more of the blue. And then maybe this one could be a little bit more of a teal.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
That would be my answer.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so smart to kind of just like combine them so that way, even though it's still a different color, it has like the same feel as the previous ones. They still all go together. Awesome. I think we have time for about just one more question. So this last question, I always find myself leaning towards using the same colors combinations no matter what the project is. Yellow is everywhere. Any tips on how to stop using the exact same colors and try to branch out and find new ones?
Wait, can you repeat that question one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So they always find themselves leaning towards using the same colors or color combinations, no matter what the project is, such as yellow. So any tips on how to stop using the same colors and combinations with every new project?
It really depends on the projects. I think, for example, Yellow, it's same. It's one of my favorite color. It's the color of my Crocs. I don't know if you can see my Crocs. It's the color of my Crocs. And it's the color of the balloon dog that I have. And that is my personal choice. But when it comes to client, that's a different situation. So I don't see, like I see ourselves more as a in service industry. Like we're almost like a bartender, you know, like when you're designing something for your client, it's more like when you just go up to a bartender, tell them what you kind of like, they're gonna fix you a drink. Even though sometimes it's not always what you wanted, but they ballpark sort of understand what you're thinking, but using their knowledge and their experience to curate something for you. And that is kind of what we're doing here. It's like, I don't think you should impose your personal preference every single time to all the client. Only apply it when it helps. And then in some ways, like, you know, if you want to be a selfish person, keep the yellow to yourself and then use the other color for other people. You know, if that's your favorite color, do that. And for example, like I love yellow, I love pink, and I love red. So I know these are overall my color approaches. But sometimes when I go, like, let's say, look at New York Times or like, you know, just browse on Instagram, I'll see these colors that I like. I just take a screenshot. I like them. And then I will just drop it into, you know, my Illustrator and then just picked out the color. And then, because these are unexpected color combinations that I would not ever use. I have a great example. Here, I have a amazing Deucen tissue box, and none of these color combinations is something that I am used to or something that I'm comfortable with, but it clearly looks very, very nice here. And I don't know if you can see it, but like with all these colors, I would just take a photo, drop it into my Illustrator, and then start to play with it. So, you know, sometimes it might need some outside forces to push you out of your comfort zone, and that's totally okay. You know, you're not copying their work, you're just getting references from colors, and then that is not a crime.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zipeng, for all of your time today. I know people have really enjoyed getting to learn about how you go about your process and learn about color. So yeah, if you want to share those last few resources and then let us know where we can find you on social or anywhere like that, let us know. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us as well.
Yeah, totally. So these are some resources for you. Feel free to go to any of them. I think Color Hunt and Color Mine are pretty straightforward. Adobe Color, it's a very interesting tool. It takes some time to get used to, but it's very, very fun. And then lastly, if you liked what you saw today, please follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Design. And I also run Dazzle Studio that is also on IG. And meanwhile, I'm wearing my merch that's from Dazzle Supply. It's a colorful brand that celebrates all the vibrancy and all the patterns and all the dazzleness that you might want to add a dash to your life. So yeah, please check us out. And we just dropped our Chinese New Year collection, which I love. And yeah, I hope this is helpful. I had so much fun doing this with everyone. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you everyone for joining us for our third Planoly Presents Approachable Design. We still have 2 more weeks. So make sure to go to our website and go to all of our events and see if there's any more that you're interested in joining so you can continue learning. Stay tuned. We will be sending you some more information about the workshop and then also how to find Zipeng as well in your email in a few days. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.